Hi, I'm Lynne with Softsquares. Today we are going to be showing a woodworker how to quilt. We're also going to show you how to incorporate his world with our world, and I'm going to let him introduce himself to you and tell you more about him.
Hey everyone, I'm Jared Jackson and I'm with Alpine Trails Studio, and we're just down the road here, and I'm interested in getting some expertise because this is a world I don't know very well, but I have been doing woodworking for a good long time, and I've been making some tools that go to woodworkers, and from what I understand there might be some overlap with some of the things that I can make to help Lynne and other quilters and sewers out there. And so here I am trying to learn from her, hopefully not make too many mistakes, and figure out what kind of tools can be helpful.
Yeah, and along the way, he's going to learn how to quilt, and we're going to use some of his woodworking tools that he makes in quilting. So stick around and you'll see what we come up with.
Okay, Lynne, I know we're about to get started and I wanted to be prepared, so I brought some of the tools that I knew we were going to need. Now, obviously with woodworking and with quilting, we have to do measuring and cutting, and then we put things together, right?
Right.
So, if we're going to be measuring, we need a tape measure, so I brought that.
Yes, yes.
If we need to have straight angles, we have to use a quick square, so I brought that too. And obviously if we're going to be cutting, we need something sturdy for that. What do you think?
I think that is awesome, but they're kind of industrial. They're not pretty.
Well, they're not pretty, but they're useful.
Ladies, would you want to use this? Okay, we have tools that are probably a little easier to use with quilting, that are very similar. So we're gonna try using those tools. But you're right. These are all things that you could use in quilting if you're in a pinch.
All right. You're the expert. I'll put these away.
All right. So this is the tape measure that we're used to seeing, something a little softer, retractable. It doesn't really matter, but we go up to 120 inches. This was a 60-inch. How big does your tape measure go?
25 feet.
Oh, well, you win. We don't go things that big. So anyway, we do need tape measure. We do need a cutting tool. This is a blade, right? But this is easier because it's rotary and our fingers can be kept out of the way. And then what was the other one that you had? You had a ruler. This is one of my many rulers. And of course, it's not the easiest to see because it's clear, but we like clear because then we can see through it and we can see our project and what we're working on. And we also need a cutting mat. So we're going to take all these things, put them together, and Jared, I think we should make a clock.
Okay.
How do you feel about that? So
I'm up to making anything.
This is a clock. I don't even know what time it is to know which way I'm holding it, but this is a clock. I really don't know. This is a clock that was a project in the Advent box that I did for 2024. It was one of the projects. And a lot of you had asked, a lot of the quilters had asked about numbers on them. So when Jared and I were talking, found out he can put numbers on these. So we're going to actually play with his plate that has the numbers on it, or a counting system. I don't know if you call them numbers. Why don't you show what you're going to use and make his with that.
So here's my version of that. It does have a paper backing on it, but it will become clear in the end.
Yep.
But this is what I think I can help offer, is to be able to create things with the acrylic that you have there, but also using some of the tools of the shop.
Yeah, and he has one that has the actual numbers on there, etched in, and this is etched, by the way, etched and then painted. Really cool. So if you like it plain, we still have kits like that, but we now have the ability to do the face, but we're going to let him build one with the numbers on there.
And we'll see how it goes.
See how it goes. So we're going to make a very simple quilt block. So we're teaching Jared how to quilt. I have a feeling you have probably sewn a few stitches before, right? You little bit.
Little bit. I grew up in a sewing family. I just, my mom, I'm not quite sure how my mom is going to receive this video, honestly. I think she's going to be happy on one hand, that I'm learning to do this.
And sad
And
that
I
she's not the one
think the
teaching.
other hand, that she's going to be like, why did you not learn this from me all those years ago?
Oh, guess what? There's so much to quilting. She will skip lots of time opportunity to teach
So
you some
there's
things.
more.
Yes. Oh, there's so
Okay.
much more. It's an ongoing thing. We're always learning. All right. So just so you know, this is a 9-inch square clock. So we're going to make a quilt block that is 9 by 9. And what better way to do that than to use a layer cake? So this right here is a 10 by 10 inch square. Layer cakes are pre-cuts. A lot of ladies in the quilting world know this, and guys too, by the way. But this is basically a little of everything from a collection, and they might duplicate. Like in this one, I think there are 2 of everything. And you buy it this way. That's why you can see there's a strap around here. And so we're going to play within here because we have lots of options for him to pick from. So you get to pick. Let's get 3. So,
Purple is our main color, maybe.
sure. Okay. Purple main color, and then what are you thinking? That might be cool there, and that, I don't know.
These are
You are
big
you
heart
are,
like that, and then in the corners.
Okay. We got it. We got
I
it.
know nothing about any of this, so
It's hard to go wrong. It really
There you
is.
go. How's that?
Sure. I like it. And then, again, it's hard to go wrong when they come in a set like that because they're meant to go together.
Mm-hmm.
So it's another no-brainer, like nice and
You
easy.
wait till my stitches are in here, and no one will be paying attention to the colors.
So this is our background. We're not going to cut this down just yet because we want to trim it when we're done to make sure it is the size of the acrylic.
Okay.
So we're going to leave this how it is. We're going to snowball, is what it's called, the corners. So what you're going to do is you're going to have basically, not that big, but pink corners all around them.
Yep.
Okay, so let's figure out how big we want these to be, and we're kind of not using a pattern. I do want to borrow this though and see how big that area is. So like a 2 by 2 keeps it out of the way. 3 by 3 actually would keep it out of the way. Do you want it
2.5?
2.5?
2.5.
Okay.
Split the middle.
Okay, so we're going to actually allow for a seam allowance, which is a 1/4 of an inch. So quilters use a 1/4 inch foot, not the traditional sewer's foot.
What is the traditional?
3/8
3/8.
or
Okay.
5/8. That's so funny. I never use it. I
Because
never
you're a
tell
quilter.
Yeah, 3. The husband's over there signing. 3/8. And so you need it a little thinner. And part of that is because typically when you make a quilt, it's big and there's a ton of seams in it. And then it goes to a quilter or a long arm quilter, which could even be yourself because a lot of quilters are their own long armers. But that's what puts the top stitching on it, and that's a lot of thread and fabric for them to run over with their big
So
machines.
1/4 inch keeps it
1/4
down.
inch is just the easiest. Yep. So if we want this to come here, based off of that, we need 3.5.
3.5.
Which makes sense because we have an extra 1/2 inch all the way around.
Yeah. Okay.
And then we'll square it up and we'll see. So 3.5 is what we're going to cut it at. Do you know how to use a rotary cutter?
You can tell me.
Okay.
If someone came to my shop and asked to use one of my tools, I would first tell them the safety information about that tool.
Always close it when you're not using it.
Right.
Always, always. And this right here, I filleted my finger.
Yep.
It's super easy to go rogue on a quilter.
I have more than one scar on my hand.
And I was holding my ruler firm and it veered in, so you just got to be careful. Okay, so we are going to, this purple is our background, so this is what we're going to use for our corner. So all we need to do is trim, 3.5. So you see on the board, there's the half mark, and then the half mark is up here, which I could move down at this point. And I'm going to make that first cut for you and show you how to do it, and then you get to cut the rest.
Okay.
And honestly, I don't know why I'm trying to square it up because we're going to trim it all down. I wonder if I should just make it 4. We'll make it 4. So you're going to open the blade. You're always going to start closest to you and push down. And you want to make sure you're holding this firm because it's super easy for this to turn. Yeah, and then be careful that you're pushing down on this and holding it firm too, because that's how I got it to jump and slice my finger. All right, and so just for fun, I'm going to have you cut another one because we actually need 2 strips that are 4.
So at 4 inches.
Now, quilters, I see what you're doing, and I think you did what I did. That's so funny because I didn't even realize I did that. There's 2 different ways to measure. The one is using the markings on the ruler. The other is using the markings on the board. And it just depends on who you talk to as to what is better. A lot of people prefer the ruler, so then they would line it up here. And it doesn't even matter your lines down here. I tend to use my board more. That's just me. And at this point, it doesn't matter. Whichever way you want to do it, I just thought I'd let you know you can use the ruler markings.
Well, let me try it with the ruler. That looks right to you, right?
Yep, you're going to have to hold it a little better than that. There you go. Okay,
Not
yeah,
quite?
I think my blade might be a little dull right there, so. Aw, that would.
I guess I don't have enough strength.
Well, you're learning, and it's.
There we go.
It's deep part of that. So this is actually a piece of scrap. We might use. All right, so we're going to square these up. We are going to make 4-inch squares. So I'm going to have you cut 4 and 4.
Okay.
And being that it's 10, we should be end up with this where we have a 2-inch at the end.
I couldn't get through 1. Let's see how I do with 2.
I think it's probably easier.
Oh, I came back towards myself. That was probably a no-no. But there we go. 4.
Yep. So I see you're using the ruler on one and the mat on the other.
Yeah. Well.
There you go.
Actually, that was easier.
And we had also layered it, so there was, yeah. So for some reason, yeah,
now we
that
have
is
squares.
4. We have squares. Yes, we do. We have 4 squares. Okay, so this is going to be our background fabric. We're going to snowball them, and to do that, we are going to make it look like this. That's what a snowball corner is. And to do that, there's several ways. My favorite way, I apologize for my reach, to get that iron on. And while that's heating up, because I wasn't thinking about it, I want to show you another tool that quilters use that we might be able to use. This is just a cheap one. It's called a clapper. It is needs to be hardwood. This happens to be cool because it has a pin cushion, but it has the markings on there. I don't care for either one of them. It doesn't matter. But I do like the fact that it has the bevel for your hands. What it is when you press, you need your seams to be as flat as they can be. So you can put this on it while it's cooling down, and it helps the seam to be flatter when it's done. So that's something that
looks like something I would make.
You could make. Exactly. That's why I wanted to make sure you saw that. So there's that, and then the iron, I wish I had thought to be sooner. So the other way to do the half square triangles, why don't you grab a pen? We can use any writing utensil. We'll use a pen. And you are going to go corner to corner and draw a line, and you're going to have to be careful because the fabric's going to kind of want to bunch up on you with the pen. Yeah. And no one's going to see this marking. So this is one of the ways that you can make a half square triangle. You're going to put this on here, line the edges up, and then sew right on the line.
Okay.
And then we would cut this part away, and then
pull it back over.
Yep. The way that I'm going to show you, which is taking a minute, it's there we go. Now we have heat. We'll do it on another square. This one, it's super easy. You're going to fold it so the right sides are out, wrong side is in, and then you use your iron. And what all you're doing is, again, creasing that line.
That's drawing the line for you.
Yep. And then when you put it on here, you're going to sew on the line. The reason I went wrong sides together is if we did it the other way around, it's really hard to sew on a peak.
Right.
It's easier to sew in a valley. So you have these 2 ways, so I'll let you do one of each and see which one you like. But we're going to pin them on. So here's my pins. So I'm going to have you put your pin down here below. Actually, you could pin on both sides. At this point, it doesn't really matter.
So this is where personal protective equipment should come in.
You need thick gloves.
Well, I mean, I would have goggles and a mask, but right now I just need to concentrate on not pricking my thumb, right?
Yeah, and you want to have some space from the foot. So you actually do want it to be out a little
bit
more.
further.
And I don't know if you noticed, but as you pinned it, it kind of shifted. So you want to make sure your bottoms are square. And I'll pin this one just to show you. It's a lot easier.
Go ahead and stay back a ways.
Yeah.
Come on.
Good job. And you're a little off. And it's going to make a difference when you put that together. See how that's... I'm sorry.
It's all right.
We're going to try it again.
This is
so I kept it flat, yeah, and I used the
like.
Well, that could work.
Is that better?
I think he's better. We're pretty good, pretty close. We can work with that. Okay, let's go to the machine, and then you can sew these two. And yes, you are sewing. Okay, so here's a stool if you want, or you can stand because it is a counter height. You're going to make sure that this little end right here, which likes to get sucked up, has a long enough tail. And then you lower your
and it should be on this line here, right?
Yeah, except you have a drawn line, so you're okay using that. That's actually a third way to do. But you're going to lower the hand back here. So let you go ahead and do that. Yep, so you want to make sure that
that's not lined up.
Foot is positioned, yeah, wherever you want it.
Is that better?
It is. And then give it a little gas. And you don't backstitch with quilting. It's one of the...
Ever?
Nope. Well, very rarely. And you just follow the line.
Yeah, remember, so I have 2 sewing machines, neither one of which I purchased myself. I'm pretty sure my mom bought both of them for me, and I don't know that I've ever used them. which I think I got one as a wedding gift, and that was 25 years ago.
Okay, now you're at the end. Okay, stop.
Keep going, or?
Nope, go ahead and just stand. Now hit that scissor button on my machine. I have a trick. So built-in scissors. So we're gonna lift this and then turn it around, and then have you do the other one, and you're just gonna sew
Follow the crease this time.
down the crease. Yep. And if we didn't have either one of those, then you would, yes, follow that red line. So you know a lot more than most people do. So you knew what that was.
It made sense because it was a red line coming straight at me.
Yep. I guess it would make sense because of your miter stuff, huh?
I do have to line up cuts, yes. Okay, here we go. Does it beat bad?
Something. This one's good. It's another one that went bad. Darn it. Yeah, this one's good. Now the machine will pull the fabric forward, and after you hit cut, I'm going to show you a little more about the machine. So these are feed dogs down here. They actually take the fabric and move it along. So
like a conveyor belt.
Yep. And so it goes the speed that you're going with your foot, and so you don't.
So you just really need to line it up.
Just keep it straight. Yep. Now we have 2 more to put on. You can decide which way you want to do it, or if you want to follow the red line.
Drawing was actually easier for me to see.
So let's go back and draw. We don't even need this. We can leave this. Well, yeah, let's take it. We're going to need it.
Because we're going to pin it, right?
Exactly.
All right. So I believe I use a ruler.
Yep, that one or this one or whatever one you want.
As long as it's straight. And actually, you'd be surprised. There's a fair amount of overlap between what you do in woodworking and what I'm learning so far. Because really, I'm just getting ready for a cut here.
You are.
So we would do this also to find the center of a piece. Often we would mark both ways. And that would give us the exact center.
All right, so pin. We don't need these anymore, so you're welcome to recycle or grab a different one.
Okay, and then what I did last time, held that in place. Lifted this. I don't know if this is right at all.
A little flatter is probably, you'll find, might be a little easier.
But that turned out all right.
Yeah, so I'm going to do, and I want you to watch me again because it might be easier. So I just hold it down and I go against the board.
Okay.
So I'm going to have you do
I bubbled it up, right?
Well, I think you're making it a little harder for yourself. However you pin it. Maybe? Yep. Okay, back to the machine you go.
All right. So now this, we want this to be out further, right?
Yeah. My machine cuts them really short. That's just, I think you're good now. That's just because of how short it cuts it, and it will suck it up sometimes.
And down.
Yep.
Oops, not there. Right.
You're all on your own with this one.
There.
Yep. And remember, the feed dogs will pull it through. You're just keeping it straight. And if you want to go faster than you are, we can adjust the automatic speed, because I did prevent it from going too fast. You could probably floor it and not go very fast because of the setting.
What you think of is
you.
very fast, and what I think of as very fast might be different.
You're fine going slow. Just want you to know your options.
Okay. Yeah.
So exactly. And then you have to lift it back.
Up.
Yep.
We bring this around, and then we probably want this.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, and sometimes it's not a problem. Last couple times I've been sewing it, it was so.
I think.
That's all right. Yeah, it's all right. It's on the bottom.
Okay. And we're back a little too.
And go near the edge. Some machines cannot handle sewing off the edge. This one can. So being right at the edge with this is good. But some machines, the feed dogs have a hard time getting going, and that's what moves it. You should be going. And this is your last stitch.
Okay.
This is it.
I don't know that my fear has decreased any in doing this, but I think it's coming out okay.
I think it's doing great. Your lines are straight. That's the most important part. Okay, let's go make it into a quilt block.
Okay. We can take the pins out.
Yes. Okay, so we have a little bit of cutting to do. So you're going to take a ruler and you're going to cut 1/4 of an inch. So just like this same width. And you can see there is a 1/4 of an inch on here. I guess this is, neither one's making a difference. That's a nice 1/2 inch. We don't want that for cutting. We want to go in 1/4 inch. So you do that on all 4 of them, cutting on this, the outside of that at a 1/4 inch.
And cutting through both is what we want, right?
You're just going to cut that off.
Okay.
And too wide or too narrow, we can work with it, but yeah, I know. My blade, I think it's my blade on top of the fact this was a really loved mat.
Yeah.
It has been used a lot. Oh, the cool thing, this whole mat was
Oh, the whole mat can turn. Well,
So
that's a whole nother world. We could do it
Yeah.
diamond shaped.
Yes, we can. We can do whatever you want with this one. And we can make something with those extra little pieces you're cutting off too.
Material reuse. It's good.
Right. Quilters, we like scraps. We will use them.
I like scraps with woodworking to a certain degree. After a while, they also make good firewood.
There's so much we can do with our scraps. Some people use them as the stuffing or the inside for dog beds. Like they'll do charity dog beds. You can make truly quilts are called scrap quilts.
Oh yeah, sure. I've seen some of those.
Okay, so let's make sure the iron is back on. Let's just hit set until the top button turns red, and it shouldn't take too long to finish. We're done with my pins. Another pinning solution that's very popular are using these.
Clips.
Yep, and it didn't work for what we were doing because we were sewing in the middle. But if you're adding your pieces together, you can use these. But this is very, very, very popular, very common. Just we need the pins, and that is still blinking.
And we have clamps just like that. They're only about 10 times as large.
All right, so we don't need this at the moment. So what we're going to do, once that's done, is we're going to actually press it open. And there is a rule, press to the dark side. Have you heard that before?
Press to the dark.
Yep.
Star Wars, okay.
Yep. And so the reason for that is when you press, if this was white and this is dark, right now both are dark, it doesn't matter. But you would see through the lighter fabric, the bunch of the fabric underneath
there's a little extra that'll be underneath.
And so it's kind of up to you.
Because these are both dark, it's good.
Not gonna matter.
Can't make a mistake.
Yep.
That's good.
So we could press them in or we can press them out. But I'm going to show you, and I apologize again, there's something called setting a seam, where you just put your iron on the seam before you do anything with it, and it makes it super flat. So see how I've done these two, and it may or may not notice there. And then you're going to press just like that. And then this, when you're done, is where you would put the clapper and let it sit, and it cools while you move on to the next thing. So that's the ideal way to do it. So there you go.
So I set the seam for a couple seconds.
Yep. Just to help get it nice and flat.
I take that over.
And if we had a light and dark, then we would make sure we had pressed to the dark and just kind of slide it over, and you'll find that it makes it nice and flat. And we should be done with that.
The clapper goes
but look at the difference between that and that. It really flattened it. So I'm going to put that on there. Again, you're going to, well, let's just move your fabric around. It'll make it easier. Let it sit there while it cools.
And it only needs a couple seconds.
The longer you leave it on there, like if you leave it on there until it's completely cool, you'll notice it. Now, you do not have to do this at the seam. You do not have to do the clapper. This is just steps that make things a little more, more pristine. You might want to turn your fabric, or there you go. And honestly, in quilting, we don't really use tape measures all that much. We usually use rulers.
Sacrilege.
The tape measure is more for when the quilt's on the wall to measure the width. That's honestly just about the only thing we use it for.
Actually, in woodworking, if you can get away with not using a tape measure, and you can actually use the pieces themselves
to get them exactly,
then you're going to have a better cut.
That kind of makes sense.
Sometimes that doesn't work though, so use a tape measure a lot.
Okay, and then we'll flatten it. So that's what a clapper does, and why. So yeah, it's still a little warm, but you can see that it's while it's cooling, and that's why if it's a good hardwood, it stays warm longer. But we're done. We're good with that. So this is our block. Now we're going to measure it. Let's put our ones back over here in the corner. So here's our one, right? And it's still a 10-inch square,
which is what we would expect.
And we want it to be 9, like that. And I would center it, not doing it like this, because that puts everything off.
The corners look weird.
But we're not going to cut it just yet. I just wanted to see how we were. And actually, let's get yours with the markings on it. I wanted to see where the markings. Is it over here? It is. I had it. Sorry.
Do we want to make it so we can see through it?
Sure.
Let's take that off. Now, when I make acrylic tools, I leave this on because the number one reason I say it's to protect it during shipping, but that's not the real reason. The number one reason is once you peel this off, sawdust sticks to this like crazy. So in my shop, if I were to
you would have a mess.
I would be sending people stuff just covered with sawdust.
Sticks to this or to this?
Both.
Oh, okay.
It will stick to the plastic. So you'd be getting a little extra from me if I left it that way. Okay.
All right, so you can see how cool that is, how we did with our corners. So we did pretty good. That's just to see what that looks like. So we're going to do an applique heart. Show me the acrylic that you brought.
Now this is an interesting thing because when I came over here, I actually brought these acrylic hearts. Let's see if we can see them in the bottom camera here. It's a set.
Let's see if I can fix them better.
It's a set here. And this is actually the byproduct of what I make for woodworkers. So what we would normally do is we'd be interested in the outside of this, and we would take our routers and, you know, create an inlay of wood that we would stick into a piece. And it was this that my mom saw and was like, well, that's something that quilters would use all the time. And so I took these over, and these are ones that I just already created, and for the quilter's sake, I added these marks of diagonals and straight up and down for the centers.
Nice.
So
nice.
Here we go.
So what I think we should do is we're going to put a heart. You can do more than one. Just kind of play with it, and whatever size you want. And if you want to do more than one, we can do that. The only thing that's for me is to stay away from the very center as far as a line,
right? Because
of the hole for the clock mechanism. And then you're actually not going to sew to get those on there, so
as long as we're away from that point, essentially.
Yeah.
And they could go into that.
They can. That would actually look really cool.
So maybe I can get a little bit bigger.
You can do whatever you want with this. And you're making this for your wife, right?
Yeah. Valentine's Day's coming up.
Love it.
We'll see how much she appreciates it.
Who doesn't appreciate a handmade gift?
Right. Okay.
Handmade arts and crafts. Okay, so just those 3 is all that you want?
Yeah, let's try that.
Okay, so let's push this to the side. And what we're gonna do is, I'm gonna take these 3 off. This is what we decided. Am I right, or is it the other one?
No, I think that's right.
It was that one. Okay, so to put the hearts on the purple fabric, we are going to fuse it. Put fusible on the back of this, and then we're going to press it onto here. So we're going to use this light steam-a-seam. Yes.
All right, so we have the backing on here now. We just need to iron it on permanently, and then, then we'll cut it out.
Yep. And you want to just hold it instead of moving it around?
Well, we've got a couple of places. Maybe like that.
And go a little farther up, just to make sure, because I can't remember through here if we have it. Let's flip it over and see. Yeah, I think you're good enough.
Okay.
Because you're going to press it on there, and it will for sure.
Now it's back to the scissors.
Scissors.
See.
So what you're doing is a technique called applique. It's called raw edge applique because we're not turning the seams under. And with quilting, typically all the seams are encased or enclosed. And this is just a decorative thing. There's several different ways to do this. We're just going to press it on since it's not going to be actually worn or used as a quilt. And
if we were to sew it on, would we have that 1/4 inch?
No. Oh, yes and no. So typically, not very often will you actually turn your edges under with applique. If you do, you do want to have more space to turn it under. It's a lot of handwork, and honestly, many quilters don't bother with that. But it's an older school thing, and it's beautiful when it's done. It takes a lot more time. So what we do now, mostly, is when this goes on the machine, you would do a top stitch or a blanket stitch that goes around the edge, and it basically holds it down, but it's a decorative stitch that you see. So, but we're just gonna make it nice and simple today.
Simple is good for me.
Yeah, and then we're going to put the backing on with some batting and backing, and then you're going to do a couple quilting. So I guess you do have a little bit of quilting left, but not a ton.
It's probably easier than when I do it with a bandsaw.
I bet it is, actually. Yeah, okay, so now you get to peel the backing off and place these anywhere you want. Do you need this to help? Or just keep in mind 1/4 inch is
all we really need to know is where that center is. Maybe that's going to be covered while we put a little dot on it.
You could do that.
As long as we avoid that.
Yep. And the reason for that is we're going to put the clock mechanism in, and you're a little too tall because remember we need a half
have
inch.
That buffer margin, I guess. Maybe like.
Well, you still have that 1/2 inch. That's going to be right up to the top. So that well, let's see here. Can you go? Yeah. Okay. I would.
Got just enough, I think, around everything.
I think you do. I think you do.
Okay.
I know it's. You can make it so the heart's over the center.
Oh, that's true. It could.
Yeah.
It could.
Exactly. Yeah.
I
just don't want an edge on where the hole is.
Let's see. Actually, why not? If it was kind of, well, no, we got to be careful here.
Yeah.
And we just have a little bit of an overlap there. But do you like that better, or?
Well, yeah. Remember, you have that 1/2 inch, so you're just gonna.
That's fine. Let's do that.
Yeah, whatever you want to do. This is the beauty of quilting is even if you have a pattern, which we're not using one, but you can change it to whatever you want with it.
So the other problem, I don't have fingernails.
I can help. I can take them off of these with that one. Sometimes just peeling it back with your finger. See, I'm not even using my fingernail. Just rolling it.
Oh, there we go. Look at that.
Yeah. And then where'd our little one go? I don't know where it is.
It's right under me.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So about like there. And this one.
Adorable. Yeah. I was gonna say you could take it one step further, which we will not do today, and actually embroider like the conversation hearts. Put the words on there.
Yeah. Remember, we're sticking to beginning.
Yeah,
here.
we are. So that would be a handwork, or some machines are fancy, but we're not playing with that today. So where is our hole? Does it go under here?
If you wanted to have a 3-hour video,
yeah, there's a lot more to that one. We'll not do that.
this one.
That is so awesome.
There we go.
Now we're going to take the iron and you're going to press it. So just so don't move it, but just lift and press. And let it set. That should be good. Well,
so it'll probably take 2.
yeah. And it's good just to make sure everything is actually down. And it looks like it is.
Good.
Good, good. Okay, so that's our block. Now we're going to quilt it. And that means we're going to take another piece of fabric. Let's just use this one for our backing. Okay, so the backing is going to go here. We're going to put a piece of batting here. And then this. When you make a, well, actually, we're not going to do the backing because the back of our clock can be, no one's going to see it. It's going to be just the batting. Yeah, so we don't need that color back there. And if you're making a wall hanging, yeah, I would do that. So like here's an example of a wall hanging. That's just a small block. It does have
just
backing.
use them.
Because
one full sheet, don't worry about it.
Yep. And so there's that.
For the clock, it might even be better that we're just thin.
Yeah. I'm just going to cut a 10-inch square. And actually, I'll let you cut it because you're the cutter today.
All right, so I pull out.
Pull that out. Yep, and then we're using a really small board, so I'm sorry. But you just need minimum 10 inches, so you can go a little wider, and it doesn't have to be straight because we're going to trim it up anyway when we're done, but you're probably going to want this to give you a straight edge and protect your fingers. And come a little more this way. There we go. So we don't want to trim it down to the size. That cuts a lot easier in fabric.
Yeah, well, it was. Hard for me to make a mistake.
Yeah, we don't want to trim it down to size until we are done stitching, because stitching shrinks it.
Oh.
And so we have some stitching to do with this. And we're not
Okay.
worried about it's not square because it's all going to get trimmed down. But this is your block right now. This is a spray temporary adhesive, which will make your life a lot easier. So
Okay.
it's in place of pins. And actually, we're going to do it on this board.
So we
of
could have done this
overspray.
before, and you just wanted me to go through the pin thing.
No, it wouldn't have worked without. So, try overspray is going to happen, but try not to. But you're going to basically spray the back of this and adhere it to there. And you don't need super heavy about it. It's like rubber cement. It's just kind of sticky, light spray.
On here, not there.
Either way.
Either way.
Yep. And then we just need it to hold itself in place and just be at least. Oops, see, I'm off. And see, it's doing its job. So we want to make sure it's nice and flat.
Okay.
And yeah, that looks flat. I think we're done. So that you have enough of it. Well, I am going to put a pin in here just to. Other than that, I think you actually did.
Maybe I was too concerned about the overspray.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. Speaking of, look, yeah, I appreciate. Yeah, you just seem to get just in the middle. So let's just pin these. I'll let you pin over there. Just pin it. It's probably easier. This is easier than when you're doing the 2 pieces of fabric. Now you're going to the sewing machine, and you're going to do what's called a top stitch. Now on my quilt, I did way more than you need to. I just was having fun. So I did a stitch on both sides of my lines, making
Do I need
Sure.
to do that on these? No, just around the boundary.
You can just stitch around the hearts if you want to, and just for fun, you can make like a shadow so it comes out. Keep in mind, you probably don't want to do that. Let me think. You could do some straight lines like this, just to go through
so
it.
what we're really doing is we're trying to attach this batting to this.
So we actually want to make it a quilted block. Whatever you want. You can make circles. That might be a little harder to keep it. But I don't have the right tool on my machine today because it does take something helpful. You could even do this, trace it, and then follow your own stitches. That would be kind of cool. We'll want to use a water-soluble marker.
You can't do it from the back, can you?
The back is always the ugly side, so the stitches will not.
The stitches won't look as good.
Yeah. The tension on the machine is just meant to do that. There's different ones of these. Some are water soluble, some are the iron will lift it, and some are air. So if you want, you can find your center or not, doesn't matter. And then we're getting fancy now.
So if that was across there and there, it should be about 10. Oh, we're not counting from 0 here. So it would be 5 and 5. Should be about right there.
Okay, or we can put this back on there and mark it with your center. Although your heart doesn't have to be centered. It absolutely does not have to be. And you do want it more
like
up.
that.
Yeah. If you're going for centered, a little higher.
I think that's fine.
Okay, it's all good.
So we would...
Yep.
I don't know, is that visible? Only barely.
Yeah. So when you do this, you want to make sure it's something that will erase, whether it be a pencil or a quilting pen that's meant to disappear. This one, I think it says erasable, but I don't know if it's water or air or... you can kind of see.
Yeah, it's harder on the purple. Definitely can see it on the red, pink. But I think this can go.
Okay. I love it.
So do we need around the edges?
Nope. Because we're going to trim it down, and then when it goes in here, it just gets sandwiched in. We're not even going to worry about the edges. Okay.
So really I just need to sew this.
Yep.
Would it be smart to start right there?
Yeah, one of the 2 points would be best. Okay, we're back at the machine. You're going to start at the point. Unfortunately, the camera angle is not letting you see, but he's starting at the top of the heart in the peak, or the valley. Now you do want to back stitch on this, so go forward a couple stitches and then back up. The back up is that big button there. Yeah, but you have to hold it.
Hold that down and
then cut off. Okay, and then
we're doing that just so it doesn't pull out.
Quilters usually have all their raw edges get enclosed and sewn in, so that's why back stitching is not necessary. But this is not that. And we could have changed thread, didn't think about it, but this is cool because it will actually help it stand out.
It'll stand out, and it's supposed to be seen because it's a heart.
That's right. You're
Do I lift it up to do this?
Yes.
Yeah. So look, part of this, I have watched sewing before.
And you probably know this, but right between that groove is where you're sewing. You seem to be a little more familiar.
Well, you know, funny. This is exactly how I would hold two sides of a piece of wood running through a bandsaw, and then kind of making the turns, and you have to kind of anticipate the turn a little bit. You know, all that sort of thing happens on woodworking as well. But I know I'm not quite as straight as I'd want to be. The one advantage we have when we're doing woodworking is I would actually cut outside the line a little bit, and then I get to come back with sandpaper and fix any of my mistakes.
Yep.
Right. And we don't seem to have that option.
Not
here.
with what we're doing today. And you'll do the back stitch when you get to the bottom again, and you've done it.
And then we go here. Back stitch, and then forward again, or?
Forward again. Yep, and then scissors.
Lift it up.
Exactly.
Well, what do you think?
That looks awesome. So we'll trim that. In fact, there's some little scissors.
There were
There
some.
were. That's all right.
Right here.
I'll let you trim that. And this is great how it is. If you want it to be more dense, you can shadow it and do more. I think it looks great just how it is. Yep. So let's build a clock.
Okay.
Okay. So what you're gonna do, we're gonna take these off because we didn't need them.
Well, because, yeah, all the stitching went in the middle there.
Yeah. You never know though.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to use this as a template. We're not going to draw. We're going to use it just like it's one of these.
Oh,
And
okay.
and you're going to cut against that.
Right.
So get it exactly where you want it to be, your center. Okay.
Well, we want these to line up with those 2 points.
Uh-huh. And then you get to just cut.
And then we need to hold it in place while we do this.
Mm-hmm. And remember the slides, which will make it easier for you.
What do you think? That lines up there?
Yeah.
Okay. This guy?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so now we are going to turn the mat.
Let's turn it twice.
You never want to come at yourself with the rotary cutter, so you didn't want to keep going and
I might have
down
made
the
that
left
mistake
side.
earlier. I may have done that.
Look at that! Look how cool that looks.
I like it.
That is perfect. Right, you lined it up. Okay, now it's a matter of poking a hole, putting the back piece on, and getting our
Our hole goes there.
clock put together.
Probably not a drill press.
No, not a drill press. How do you want to assemble this?
Well, you know,
You want to take it home and finish
you know
it?
what? I think I will, because I can get a clock mechanism that fits the 1/4 inch a little bit better,
Okay.
probably.
Okay. Yeah, so that I like it. So you're going to take it back to your woodworking studio to finish this, right?
Yeah. It looks so good as it is right now. I almost feel bad putting anything else on top of it.
I like it.
But I'm sure this has to do with the teacher more than the student, but this turned out a little bit better in terms of like all of
Does
the
it?
stitches than I thought it would be.
Oh, you did great.
Thank you.
And you did several stitches. You did quilting, you did applique, which didn't require stitching, and then you did top stitching or quilting. Actually, this is piecing, sorry, and this is actual quilting, and that is applique. You did 3 different techniques today.
Fantastic. It was fun, actually.
Thank you.
All right.
I had fun with you here.
So I really appreciate all of this. I hope everybody who watched this got to have a little fun, because I certainly did. And I wanted to thank Lynne for everything she did to help me out here. So I made my version of a quilt right here. We got our different patterns and everything.
All the
and
mitered corners.
wood grain. and I took it to the laser cutter and I engraved your Soft Squares logo into there. So
I love it.
I hope you can enjoy that.
Yes, thank you very much. And we're going to hang it. You guys will see this in the background on some of the
fantastic.
videos. Yep.
All right.
Thank you so much. This was a lot of fun. And I look forward to working with you. So we're going to let you guys know of some future projects where he's making things that can help us as quilters out. So you will know who...
I may have contributed in one way, but I think the skill will come from Lynne.
All right, well, thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Bye.